All right, for number 8, the concept that they're getting at here is that if you have a short circuit, which means if there's a shorter pathway to get around that circuit without having to go through a resistor, the electrons will take it. And so in each of these cases, A, B, and D, by closing the switch, you provide this pathway for charge to totally bypass the light and just make a shortcut around to get to the other side with a path of no resistance. Now, granted, there is maybe a little bit of resistance in the wire, but relative to a light bulb, it's no resistance. So you're going to have this huge rush of charge going around the circuit once we close that. I'll just kind of animate that here. So if we close that pathway, now the charge is going to not even try to force its way across that light bulb because it has a direct pathway to keep traveling around to get to the other side. And what will happen if you do this, the wire will just get really, really, really hot, and it could burn up your battery. Your battery would basically just discharge all of its charge quickly. It could make the wires get very hot and maybe burst into flames, that kind of thing. So you really don't want to have this happen when you're setting up a circuit. Same thing would happen here if you take a look at all these other pathways from the positive side. It gives it this direct pathway to get around without even having to go through the light bulb. And same thing here, by doing this, it has a direct pathway around to the negative terminal without having to put itself through the light bulb. Only this one, choice C, or maybe I'll do it in a different color, only this one forces the charge to go through the light bulb to get itself to the other side. And so choice C is the only one that would actually activate that bulb and allow it to work. All right, for questions 9 and 10, we're using this circuit, which has a 120 volt source. So that's your battery pack in a sense. And then it gives you the amp reading, the 0.5 amps. This little symbol here is how we denote an ammeter, which is just going to record how much current is in the line at any given place in a circuit. And so really we got the total resistance calculated for us just off of Ohm's law. V total will equal I total times R total. And so to know the total resistance in the circuit, yeah, you'd have to add 50 ohms to whatever this is, but we can do that just using Ohm's law. We have the total voltage of 120, and we have the total current of 0.5, so the total resistance has to be 240 ohms of resistance. And the way I'm getting that is I'm taking 120 equals 0.5 times R total. You divide 120 by 1/2, and you get an R total, or the equivalent resistance is how they're saying it, but an R total of 240 ohms of resistance. Then if you want to know this individual resistor, it's really just a simple matter of subtraction, since R total in series is just R1 plus R2. So if I take 240 minus 50, I'm going to get that value of resistance equaling 190 ohms. But I want to show you a different way just to help practice some more of the math. I mean, that's probably the most straightforward way of getting that resistance, but it should also work if we apply this Ohm's law and the voltage drops across it. So let's first just identify what the voltage drop is across this light bulb. So if I had to get a voltage out of this, I know that 0.5 amps is going to flow across it. So I got 0.5 amps flowing across a 50 ohm resistor. If I do Ohm's law, the voltage would equal 0.5 amps times 50 ohms, or 25 volts. So there's a 25 volt drop across here, which leaves, I started at 120 volts, and if I just drop down 25, I'm going to have 95 volts of potential difference to still drop. So 120 minus 25. Yep, so I got a 95 volt drop across this resistor. And so knowing that there's still 0.5 amps going across it, because in a series circuit that doesn't change, I could just solve for resistance that way. V equals IR, and take 95 divided by 0.5, and you get the same exact result of 190 that you did before. So I just want to show you that you can get there whether you take a look at the voltage drops and split that up accordingly, or if you went at it from the R total perspective that we did in the original setup, you're going to get to the same answer for 9 and 10. All right, for 11 through 13, we're using this setup here, which looks like a combination circuit is what I thought it was at first, because I saw this thing off to the side, but that's not really a resistor here. It's just a measurement of the current. So this is just an amp meter hooked up, and they're telling you that at this location in the circuit, there's 5 amps, but it's not running through any resistor at this point. The only two resistances are these parallel branches here. And so eventually we're going to have to figure out how much current is going down this branch, and we're going to have to figure out what this resistance is in this circuit here. So let's start out with number 11. It says the equivalent resistance of the entire circuit. Well, that's like the total resistance. And so I don't have a value for this. I can't just jump into my resistance equations to do that. But I do have properties of Ohm's law. And so this is kind of a problem-solving technique that there's more than one way to get yourself to that value, because Ohm's law everything has to agree. That if I'm not able to get there through the equation of 1 over blah, blah, blah for parallel circuits, then I could get there maybe by knowing the total voltage and the total current in the circuit, which I do. I know that 12 volts total of the battery pack, and then 5 amps on its way back in, so that's actually traveling this way, and this current, so there's your I total, and 5 amps is your I total. So that current comes out of the battery at 5 amps, it splits. We're going to have a certain amount going through A1 and a certain amount going through this branch here, and then that's going to flow back together and combine to give us our I total again. So, let's just get the total resistance down. That would be 12 volts divided by 5 amps, which is 2.4 ohms of resistance, 2.4 ohms total. And you know that makes sense. A kind of a double check here is that the value of your total resistance, if it's a parallel branch like this, it should be less than the smallest resistors that are in parallel. So the reason for that is when you hook branches up in parallel, it makes the overall resistance of the circuit smaller than just having a single one on its own, because it has that additional pathway for the charge to move around. It makes it easier to get through the circuit. So number 12, in order to get this amp meter reading, I got a couple different ways I could go with this, but because this is a simple parallel circuit and there's nothing else really in the way, I know that the voltage drop is going to be 12 volts whether I go across this branch or this branch. And the reason I'm kind of drawing that like in this arc across it is it's a measurement from this side to this side of that resistor, the potential difference. When you use these electrical leads, you're really going to be tapping across that to see what is the electrical energy like before you cross that resistor, and what's the electrical energy like after you cross that resistor. And so the point of this is that if you were at 12 volts of potential, okay, again, you kind of have your hill analogy. You're starting up at a height of 12. Whether I go down pathway 1 or 2, I'm going to have to drop all 12 volts to get myself down to 0, because by the time I go down branch 1 or branch 2, I'm connected to the low side of the battery. So like, I'm just kind of animating this out. If I go down this way, I got to drop all 12 volts because then I'm connected to 0. Or if I go this direction, I got to drop all 12 volts because I'm connected to 0. So that sets up Ohm's law pretty nice for us then. We have V equals IR. So we have 12 volts equals the current that I'm trying to find times 3 ohms of resistance. So I should equal 4 amps in that line. And this becomes, now we can kind of get this done If there's 4 amps of current flowing here, that means there's only 1 amp of current flowing here. And you see when that 1 amp, okay, so 1 amp is flowing over here. If that 1 amp combines it with the 4 amp, that's how we get back to that 5 amps total. So that 5 amps of total current splits temporarily into 4 and 1, but then they'll flow back together to get to that total current of 5. All right, finish this out. What's the unknown resistance? Well, I have the current going down this line of 1, and I have the voltage of 12. So solving Ohm's law one more time should just give us a resistance of 12 ohms. V equals IR, and R then will equal 12 ohms. So doing our double check here, we said that this resistance was 3, and this resistance is 12 ohms. And I said, I used the math here and said that the total resistance should be 2.4 ohms. Well, doing the double check, I could do R total equals 1 over 3 plus 1 over 12. And then find common denominators here. So I'm going to have 4 twelfths plus 1 12th inverted. So that's 12 over 5. And 12 over 5, when you solve it out, equals 2.4 ohms. So this checks out, and it's not necessary that you always do this just to see, but I just want you to be aware of that there's more than one way to get to these values on a lot of these diagrams. It's something that trips people up because they don't know exactly which way to go. But my advice is just to, if you have 2 of the 3 things in Ohm's law, go with that method. If you don't, then maybe you'll have to use these resistance rules that we established.